Alrighty, Roo, and cuckoo to you, and all my nobodies not watching out there. Back on it. That last one was really short. It was just kind of rode too long, and I had to kind of like keep going. But I don't want to be your coffee bitch. Benoit. He slowly slinks away, looking defeated, deflated, debased. I burn the moment into my retinas, etch it onto my soul. Kind of hoping I'll never have to see him again, and this is how I'll remember him. Probably not, but wouldn't that be a great thing for you, Julia? Like, for her character, she'd just be like, that was the last time I ever saw him, was him slinking away. Father Leonard watches him closely until he disappears from sight, then turns to me. I feel sorry for him. I keep hoping he might find some basic empathy through faith, but all I've done thus far is let him leave you at the end of your tether. Yeah, that's some faith he has. Are you okay with all the bullshit he's spouting? I don't exactly support it, but I don't reject it. It's like attrition and contrition, imperfect and perfect repentance, you know? One focused on the relationship with God, the other selfish and focused on personal gain. But both of them worked. Don't agree. Not a theologist, not gonna get into that. But no! Once again, survey says no! Like, no, I'm sorry. The relationship with God is the thing. Selfish and personal gain is not gonna get you forgiveness. I'm not even gonna go into that. I'm just gonna say that's such a fallacy of logic. You can't pay a guy to be like, hey, I'm good with God, right? Like, it's not like the bouncer at a club that you acted up at, you know? Like, that's not how this works. That's the idea that, oh, I can be as evil as I want. I just give money to this guy and he's like, you know, in the Pope's crew, and that's gonna make me okay again. It's like, no. God didn't ever ask you for his money. He appreciates when you give back what he gives to you in a smallest amount so that he can make that useful to others. Like, he can take your little 10% and make that a seed that blossoms into a tree that bears fruit in ways that you can't comprehend. That, you know what? No, we're not gonna do that. We're not gonna go there. We're not gonna do that. No. Both of them work. Yeah, but doesn't it strike you as completely missing the point? A bit. But purely secular takes on Christ's teachings are nothing new. Pascal's wager is a boring example, but have you, by chance, read Bulgakov's The Master and the Margarita? What the fuck are you talking about, my guy? Sure, back in Poland, every teen is trying to look at intellectual online. Love to repeat that joke about the talking cat who swears he never pour vodka for a lady because women deserve to pure alcohol. I feel like I need to look that up later. That's fucking, what the fuck's going on there? I know that Julia's last name is like Sawowski, so she's like Polish or whatever. But, like, is she, like, Polish first gen, or did she... I guess she probably did well enough that she would, like, visit her family. She doesn't seem like a family person. I don't know. She's making this statement. Who knows if it's true or not. Whatever. She's a liar. Whatever. That's one takeaway from that novel, I suppose. I read it as a moving depiction of Christ, who is not a divine being, stripped of mythic qualities, but open for transcendence. Jesus and Satan understood as powerful forces battling within us. You know, the two wolves, you know. You got those two wolves. Would have to read it again. It's been too long. Sounds nice though. Julia just being like, I'm just smiling because you made him go away and he is such a douche. And it made no sense, and I'm just asking you because you're here. I stretch lazily and take out another smoke. Leonard watches me closely before speaking up again. Julia. Leonard. Like, what the fuck do you want here, buddy? Hmm? 4 hours from now, there's going to be a meeting in the Elysium. The big finale of the celebrations of power. Everyone will be there, but they will be counting on you not to show up. See, you're like very well aware of the world of darkness and vampires, but it seems like even if it was just the Sombra that were sort of feeding you info, which is totally a thing, you're feeding me that info for them, but like I had to come to you to get this. I doubt you would have this info on your own. You could be a La Sombra elder, you know, you could be La Sombra, what the fuck do I know? But this just seems like it's like somebody who wants to throw a monkey wrench into the thing. It sounds like a fucking Malkavian prank. The good sheriff plans to present the results of the investigation in your stead. It's a simple, crude strategy. Might work, but begs to be countered by an outrageous tactic. Take that as you will. He's just like, so I heard through the grapevine, and I'm kind. Don't you know all this information be mine? Hey. No, that doesn't make any. Sure, why not? You know what you know, and you're passing it on to me. I don't remember how. I think it was my last character that was like distressed by like your ability to faith, and not this one. Or maybe, I don't know, maybe it's both. I don't know. It doesn't really matter. The fact is, you know enough about what's going on in the higher tiers of vampire society than apparently my character does on something that is directly related to me. You know, they're basically it's like being a kid at school and being like, oh, I've got this report due. And then I'm not told when that report is due, even though it seems kind of obvious. And somebody else is going to do it for me, even though it wasn't their report. They just had something to do with it. And then it's likely to throw me under the bus, and I'm going to get the shit kicked out of me by, you know, bullies and stuff. That's basically how that plays out. The game is about to end. Oh, you're just going to break the fourth wall. Cool. Momentarily, I'm left dumbfounded. All I can muster is an eloquent, eh? Just go, yeah, just say, eh? Qua? Oh, don't ask me, I'm just a messenger. I mean, you can't debate that. He's just a messenger. Like, he may not even understand what he's saying. He's just like, I just was supposed to say this. I hear voices and I say them. You could be a Malkavian, you could be an angel, you could be... Dude, whatever, man. Who relayed this message to you, though? A good friend. A cautious friend. Wouldn't be able to tell you more than that, even if you forced me to. Somebody who basically did this under the circumstance where, you know, they're doing confession, appeared to be a completely normal person, and then provided this information. If I had to guess, I would say it's, what's his name? The guy who has the hell no beanie that's the Nosferatu. He seems like the only person who would have any interest in trying to help me at this point. And who would know about the thing that I know of. Well, shit. This is the moment that might decide the rest of my days. What would you do in my place, Father? When I was faced with a dilemma that would shape the rest of my life, the world felt too big and scary and impossible to understand, so I simply escaped from that choice into the seminary. Yeah, if that's your idea of good advice, I'm gonna have to ask you to shove it. It's like, what, are you telling me to become a nun? Because that's not an option for me. That's not gonna fix my problem. I won't. Makes me wonder about what the fuck happened to you that you became, you know, where you are, but that's not gonna... What? I would expect nothing less. Don't you regret it? Regret what? You're kind of shady, but don't seem like a bad guy. Still, I gotta accept that people above you are responsible for some horrible things. If our superiors' acts count as our own sins, then, on the face of it, probably half the people in this world are irredeemable. What the fuck, dude? You just hit me with like a sledgehammer. Because again, like, normally it's more considered like, oh, the sins of the father, you know, follow to the son. But also, like, the way sin is traveled, you know, it's like, oh, well, you may not know that, you know, like, let's say your friend steals a bike from some poor kid down the street, and then they sell it to you, and you're like, oh, but my friend is selling what I assume is their bike, because that's what they tell me, for really cheap, because, you know, it's cheaper than the bike would be, and I'm gonna go sell it again, because that's what they're like, look, you already have a bike, but I could sell you this bike, and then you can make some money off of it. Not a lot, but I need this money so that I can feed my family with bread and water and stuff. And it's just like, it's a stolen bike. It's like, but you know that you've never seen them ride that bike. You know that they do ride bikes, and they ride different bikes all the time, but it's a little bit suspicious. There's just enough for you to be like, it's believable, but also there's that doubt. And again, doubt is normal to have on. Anyway, the point is like, oh, everything that could possibly be doubtful and sinful, you are responsible for. And then everything that even you aren't doubtful or of, you should be, and that's on you. Like, for instance, oh, you buy this coffee, and that coffee, or chocolate is a better example. Chocolate is pretty much always a bad thing. It's almost always from... Feel free to look that up, or don't. All my nobody's not watching. It's almost always from the worst possible conditions, because it's like the highest price point. Coffee does that too, but other things are like that. Diamonds, coffee, chocolate, this is the ones that come to my brain first, where it's just, those are just really not good industries. And that's sort of like here. It's like, it's still on you. Even if you didn't hear this message, you didn't hear me say this, like, it would still be on you regardless, because even if you don't understand it or believe it or know about the industry itself, you're still supporting basically child slave labor. You know, it is what it is. And now you know, maybe, kind of, probably, Nestle is a terrible corporation, just saying. And it is what it is. Like, as far as the concept of sin transference goes, sometimes, like, you're not free because you don't know that that's a thing. Me telling you doesn't make it. It might make it worse by knowing, but also the fact is, we're meant to find out. We're meant to know, and it's like, as a mathematical thing, like, it doesn't matter if you know or don't. Like, it's still going to be held against you. It might be held against you more if you know about it, but it also might not. But it's not like, what was it? The Native Americans, when being confronted with Christian missionaries, they were like, oh, well, now we have saved your souls, and you can, you know about the good Lord Christ, our God, and his forgiveness of your sins. And it's just like, but, and there's like the famous quote of just like, well, what if you hadn't told me? It's like, oh, well, and then that sort of gets into like a question mark area where it's like, you would have maybe gone into purgatory, depending on which translation and which version they want to go into. It's like, or it wouldn't apply to you. You know, like, you wouldn't go to hell because you didn't know the good word of Christ. So you couldn't. That's not even an option. That's not fair. And then under that translation is basically the Native American was just like, then why did you tell me? And it just makes a very good point of like, well, aren't you the evil one? Because now you forced the choice upon me. That's not really a choice, is it? Like, and that's my whole, we're not going to get into my religion and religious beliefs, but no. Like, oh, well, now you know. It's like, that's kind of what happened here. Clever, but not a real answer, and being a low-level grunt for assholes you find wholly objectionable is no way to live. I don't know. Is it? I finished the smoke in silence. I have to go. Don't know if and when we'll see each other again, but when that happens, I probably won't be the same old me. Of course. But before I leave to scold Benoit, let me say one more thing. Yeah? What you got to say, old man? These are difficult times. My parishioners keep calling me the things people are going through that they might never admit. But if this keeps up, it will cause horrifying invisible damage to this nation. See, this just sounds like, you know, an accurate take of a snapshot, a little Polaroid of a perspective of the time. A dreadful darkness is killing us all, little by little, and like every powerful evil, it manifests itself, little by little. And yet, sinful as it may be, I confess to being strangely excited. For a moment, we're seeing the suffocating normal disappear. This is the time to dream a new world is possible. Walk these empty streets, Julia. Remember how the city feels right now. Bask in its shadows and uncertainties. After the apocalypse comes the great rebirth. And I'm not going to go into all the apocalyptic nature of this. I will say that as a person who worked during this time, I was considered an essential worker, as many people were, and my hat's off to you, respect, all that shit. To everybody who made less money and risked their lives and all that. Everything changed for the worse for all of you generally. At least in my industry and various other industries, but whatever. Essential workers. It was kind of interesting for that short period of time, at least in America, and the part of America I have experienced in this moment, just how liminal spaces it was, you know, going home, working. It really didn't last that long. Now that I look back, it felt like it was gonna last forever and lasted forever. It really didn't. It was really not that long. The bad stuff happened. The bad effects occurred, and they were basically permanent. But eventually, things changed where it wasn't so much that, and then you just had to change and shift gears. But it was pretty crazy for a little bit, just to be like, there's no cars on the road, there's no this, there's no that. Like, everything feels kind of abandoned. And you know that people still are there. It didn't really last that long, but I just look back and I think that's kind of interesting. That's kind of what he's stating here. And again, I think that's what they're going for, but I also think that it's from, I think this is like a Swedish company or something like that. And they have a very different perspective on things, and I think they had a much more considerate and abundant lockdown in the sense of their quarantine. Their government provided them with far better options and abilities and stuff, and it wasn't so much like it was here. But I don't know, and again, I don't even know if this is a Swedish company or whatever. Like, I don't remember. It's just America did things basically, like, of all the countries basically that considered things, like, considered the pandemic realistically, America was basically gave out, from the government perspective, gave out the very least of any other country to its citizens. And you could say, oh, that's population. It's like, no, a lot of other countries did a better job. Even population similar or whatever. But also, it is what it is. Like, they don't really care about us. And it is what it is. Quashing it in their area is a thing that makes sense in a lot of spaces that are less broad, and America had to whatever to make itself seem whatever. So yeah, Amici Noctis awaits you, your next report, with great curiosity. Yeah, I'll be lucky to make it. I give him a nod and sprint away. Now I know what I must do. A moon, my lone constant companion. When I moved here for good from, the old country, you were the only close friend who kept me company. So it does seem like I actually left, Poland or something to be here. And maybe this is a Polish company and a game from that originates from Polish creators. Cool. Rather than Swiss, like I said. Never felt in the right place back there, never felt in the right place here, especially now when I'm not quite alive, not quite dead. Not that Slavic, not that American. But maybe it's about time I finally carve out some space for myself. Well, my last character didn't do so great, but, maybe you'll do better. It's been a long road, hasn't it? It's been like just over a week, my guy. I think we're still under 10 days. Wish me luck. I catch in front of the art hole because, of course, he had to be the first person I met there. I'm just wondering if it'll let me save and exit. If I have to redo the thing, I'll do the thing, but it's not like I made any choices. I feel like I'm done for now. I just don't care anymore.